All right, so first I want you to get up. I want you to do this drill with me. I'm going to teach it, the whole thing to you right now. So get up wherever you are, even if you're in your office, get up and let me show you exactly how simple the swing really can be. So first, can you do this? Take your setup, you can take your right shoulder and pull it behind your head and increase the pressure you feel on your right foot. That's all I want you to do. Pull your right shoulder behind your head and push your right foot in the ground. Can you do that? That's the entire backswing. And I'm going to show you the whole sequence in just a moment. But that's how simple the entire backswing is. When you move from the inside out, everything else is going to fall into place. You only have to learn 3 moves. That's number 1. So pull the right shoulder back, increase the pressure on the right foot. Now, the hardest part of the golf swing that nobody's ever been able to teach effectively, the transition. I'm certain that most of you out there have struggled with the proper transition. The whole reason, as you've learned from my other videos, is the force of movement. Where you're moving from is what's going to cause you the issues. And you've heard about my pushing versus pulling, so I'm not going to go into that stuff right now. All I want you to do is one simple move to have a perfect transition. Are you ready? So do the movement again with your whole backswing. There we go. Whole backswing is done. It's going to look perfect in just a minute, even with the club. Now, the transition. Here's all I want you to do. I want you to not turn your shoulders at all. Once you've got your chest turned back here, I want you to sit into the left side. As you do that, you're going to do my squat to square video, right? You're sitting into the left side, moving your weight back over to the left, and your hips are turning. Your shoulders are getting turned. You see that? As I combine backswing and transition, we've licked 2/3 of the golf swing already. If you can just do those 2 moves, the rest of your golf swing is going to be so simple for the rest of your life. You're never going to do anything different. Backswing, transition. Now, how do we get into the most important part of the golf swing, the only part that really matters, impact. It's even easier than the first 2 moves. Once you've made a proper backswing and you've made a transition, all I want you to do is take this leg, straighten it up while you push your hip open and move the rest of your weight about 85% onto the left leg without turning your shoulders. Let's do the whole thing together. Right shoulder back, push the right foot in, transition, post up. If you can do those 3 moves, you can swing like a pro. It's that simple. Can you do that? Of course you can. It doesn't get any easier than that. I can teach anybody to do this. Turn back, transition, post. Whole golf swing. Now you're looking at me, some of you are like, oh my gosh, the whole light bulb just went off. That's the whole thing I got to do because you're already familiar with all the other videos on the site. Others of you are out there thinking to yourself, what the heck is he talking about? It doesn't look like a golf swing at all to me. Let me make it even easier for you to see the whole thing. And I'm going to teach you the same sequence of how I teach it in real life, in person. So once you can do these 3 core body movements, all you got to do is get the arms and club to play nicely. And that's super easy. So the first thing, as you can probably imagine, is you've gone through the RST 5-step system. What do you think I would add next? The lead arm, of course. So all I want you to do the same drill again, but now put your left arm out in front of your body. Don't even think about where it's going. And all I want you to do is focus on pulling the right shoulder behind your head and pushing weight into the right leg. As you do this, your arm is going to swing up. If you can't quite get the feeling of it just yet, here's an even easier way to do it. I'm going to turn down the line so you can see this whole sequence again. I'm going to go right shoulder back, and now just extend your arm up. Can you do this? Well, yeah, of course you can. Just turn back, raise your arm. Now, watch what happens as I combine this with a transition move. No shoulder turn, I'm going to keep my chest pointing at you, and I'm just going to squat to square. Look what happened to my hands. Now, some of you are starting to see how the club falls into the slot, which I'm going to show you in a second. And then as I move into impact, all I'm doing, I'm not trying to do anything with my arms or hands or shoulders. I'm just straightening my left leg up. Look where my hands are. If I had a club in here, which I'm going to show you in a second, I'd be in a perfect delivery position, and all I have to do there is release the club. Let me show you adding the club into it. What does it look like when we add the club? For those of you who come over the top and lose lag and cast, this is the key. So I'm going to do it face on first, and then I'm going to show you down the line. I'll go through the whole sequence, doing it, putting my right arm up and then bringing the club up there, or excuse me, my left arm up. So I'm going to take my right shoulder, pull it behind my head, whole backswing. That's it. Now, some of you may notice my head turns a little bit. I broke my neck mountain biking and I'm fused at C1, 2, and 3. So, should your head turn like this, like Annika and Duval? No, that's just because I'm physically stuck together. So, ignore that and just focus on turning your rib cage and letting your arm go up to that same position at the top, and that's it. The whole backswing's done. And I'm gonna walk you through this whole sequence in detail, showing you every single key to get into that perfect position during the boot camp. But for now, you can do this on your own very, very simply by simply focusing on turning your body to get your arm to the top. Now, all I'm gonna do, nothing with the arms, hands, or club. I'm going to squat to square. Look where the club is, look where my lag is, everything here, all systems go. Now all I need to do is post up. If I post up and my left hand is in front of my thigh with the club shaft parallel to the ground, club toed up, golf swing's over. All I have to do from this point is release. And what does it mean to release? It means to let go. Just let the club go from that point. Look at how much my body's moving. It's not moving at all. The point in the swing when the body's under the most load and the most stress is when it needs to be the most stable and protected. So once we get down here and the forces on the body are about to go up dramatically as the club begins to release and accelerate, now is when I need my joints perfectly aligned, stacked in position so that all I need to do is let the club release and my body chills out. The last thing on earth I'd ever want to do is keep turning through and driving through when all of the speeds are at their peak during the swing. One of our medical advisors, Dr. Mitch Suppler, talked to me about understanding where bulging discs come from so frequently in the golf swing. And it happens when your spine is in a rotated position and a side bend. The last thing you'd want to do when your body's in this position is to keep turning your body, keep turning your hips so that you put yourself in this very uncomfortable side bend position unless you deliberately want to blow out your back, which of course you don't. So that's why it's so critical to learn the third move of once you're here, you post up, your golf swing's done. You're only making these 3 moves, and those 3 moves move the arms, which move the club, which controls the ball. It's not the other way around. It's way too complicated. Can you try and position the club back over here and know exactly where it's at when it's moving behind you really fast? No, of course not. But can you do this? Of course you can. And if you can do that, everything in your swing is forced to fall into place. Watch what happens when I add the right arm. So now, I'm just gonna go through a sequence again. I'm gonna go back to the top, just extend my left arm up. Don't worry about exactly where it is. I'm gonna show you all the details of that stuff later. Just get it in the ballpark. You'll be way better off than where you are right now. Just turn back. Now I'm gonna hand myself the club with my right arm. Good position here. Now the club feels kind of heavy. If you're doing this yourself, you should notice, hold it up there, just my left arm, it feels a little funky. I'm glad you noticed that because now is when you bring the right arm up to support the left arm, not putting it in control. That's where everybody goes wrong. You've seen my videos on pushing versus pulling and knowing that casting and swing over the top and all of the bad swing flaws that you have all come from that right side. So what you're going to learn to do is go to the top and bring the right hand up just to support the club. It's not doing anything more than that. Now watch as I add the transition drill. See how the club perfectly falls down into the slot? I didn't try to drop it into the slot. I didn't try to manipulate it or loop it or do anything crazy. I didn't do anything at all. I did nothing. Nothing but the first movement the second movement I showed you, the transition drill, squatting to square and sitting to the left side. The club comes down perfectly on plane. Now, all I need to do from here is post up. As I add the post up move, look where the club is. Backswing, transition, post up, release. The whole swing in one drill. All you have to learn is how to do those exact 3 movements I just showed you, do them perfectly, and your swing will look as good as anybody's on the planet and perform as well as a pro. All you have to do is those 3 simple moves. Now, as you go through the boot camp, I'm gonna start giving you the sequence and all the little checkpoints on how to do this the quickest that I've found so far. It's going to make it really, really easy to put this whole thing into the context of the swing. So when you go out and play, let's say you go out and you hit a bad shot, no problem. How do you get your swing back on track? Perfect swing. That's it. in the middle of a round, you hit a bad shot, you did something different than what I just showed you in those 3 simple moves. You fired with your right arm, you turned with your shoulders, you pushed off the right leg. All of those things that you've seen on the videos on the site are gonna start to come to life to now, because now you can fix everything with one simple drill. And as you keep working on this drill and you get it refined so that you can do it without having to think about it at a conscious level, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna be able to do it without those little pauses and chunks. Instead of going to the top and checking your checkpoints that I'm gonna give you in the boot camp, oh, I gotta check my right hip line and my necktie drill, did I maintain my axis tilt, all that stuff that has to be dialed in. All you're gonna be able to do now is go to the top and make these chunks smaller and smaller. So now I'm starting to make it one smooth movement. Would you be all right if you had a swing like this? Pretty easy, right? All I did was those 3 moves to swing like that. Pretty simple, right? Anybody can do this.